Robbie Baxter. How are you doing?
Great, thanks. How are you, Shane?
I am doing amazing. Your official name is Robbie Kelman Baxter. That's what's on all your
It
books.
is.
But we're going to go with Robbie Baxter today. We're just going to hang out a little bit, okay?
Right on.
All right. So let me tell you a little story first before we get into like everything that you do, because I love what you do and it's absolutely amazing. But my journey in entrepreneurship started back in like 2012. Okay. My wife and I had some really bad stuff happen to us at work, and we decided to go on the path of starting our own online business. And we actually started out with digital courses and PDFs and all the online stuff you download with a one-off purchase, all that old way we used to all make money online, right? And in about 2014, 2015, we recognized some stability problems in our business, and we were putting a lot of work in, like high energy, had to sell everything, starting over at zero every single month, and we really didn't know like what we were doing from a business perspective, because we used to be school teachers. We were new at this. And we went to a conference in the Philippines hosted by a guy named Chris Ducker called Tropical, Chris, and called Tropical Think Tank, and just to get around some entrepreneurs and see what other people were doing. And I was sitting at a table one day with James Schramko. I'm sure you know James because he's a big membership fan. And Schramko was looking over my stuff, and I was like, yeah, man. I was like, we sell lesson plans to librarians. We sell lesson plans to teachers. And, like in August, we'll sell them August lesson plans. And then we start over September, we sell them September. Or maybe in my history site, we'll sell them Civil War lesson plans. But they always teach that in September. And then we'll sell them the next one. They always teach that in October. So there's kind of this calendar we've got. So sales are good, but man, it's just so high energy. And he looks at me in a real matter-of-fact way, and he goes, that's a membership. And I look down, and he goes, sell it once, and then they'll pay forever. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is a membership. And he told me, read The Membership Economy by Robbie Kelman Baxter on your way home. So I got a hold of that book.
In the Philippines?
Well, it was on Kindle. I got it on Kindle.
On Kindle.
So
okay.
I got it on Kindle, or somehow I got it. Maybe he gave me one. It seems like I actually had I think he might have given me a copy or something. I don't know how I got it, but I was reading this book on the way back. So it's a 12-hour flight. I read the whole thing in one sitting. Forgot to go to sleep. Forgot to get up. Forgot to go to the bathroom. Anything. And I remember closing the book or stopping to read a book or whatever. It was so long ago. And I knew that we had to do this as fast as possible. And so Jocelyn and I flew over first class. So we were in the middle, and we had this wall, and we lowered the wall, and I looked over and I said, wake up, and turned toward me. So he turned toward me. So I get out notebooks and I get out pens and paper, and I look at her and I say, this is the future. We have to do this right now. When we get back, we're switching every business that we've got to the membership model. And we did. In June of 2015, we had 4 businesses at the time, 4 different websites selling 4 different products. And in 1 month, we switched everything to recurring billing. And we were scared to death, Robbie, because like we were having 6-figure months selling digital products in August and September for school teachers. So we were scared. We were like, oh my God, we're not selling these $400 products. We're not doing this. What's going to happen? And within 30 days of opening our memberships, we had over 1,000 members paying an average of $49 to $99 a month. And it's been that way ever since, like tens of thousands of dollars of monthly recurring revenue. And not only that, we told everybody in our community, the Flip Your Life community, which is where we teach people how to do this, what we do online. We've helped over 3,000 people like do the same thing in the last 5 years. And all of that literally came from me reading your book. So it's not every day that I get to thank somebody that really changed the direction of our life. But before I even ask you any questions, I just wanted to say thank you. And if anyone who's listening to this that does not read your book, you're crazy. You got to go read these 2 books that we're going to talk about today.
Oh, you're making my day. Thank you for telling me the story. What a nice story. What a great way to start a talk.
I know, right? Okay, so let me ask you this. There's this important question, okay? This book, The Membership Economy, and I know you have a new book that I really want to talk about because I've read it now and it's amazing.
I have this right here.
All right. Yeah, I got it right here too. Check this out. Ready? Here we go. I got it too. I got tabs in mind for questions. All right. Why did you write The Membership Economy back in 2014? I guess when did you start writing it, and why did you write this book?
So I started writing. So the book came out at the beginning of 2015. I did most of the writing. I had my contract with McGraw-Hill in 2014. I started making notes for the book in 2004. So I had worked with Netflix 2002, 2003, and I fell in love with their business model. And then as I was falling in love with it, other people where I'm in Silicon Valley, and I started getting calls from people who said, hey, Robbie, we heard you did some work with Netflix. We sell this other thing. We want to be like Netflix. Can you come help us? So I did. I worked with PayCycle, which is part of Intuit. I worked with SurveyMonkey. I worked with Oracle on their SaaS model, one after another. And I thought, wow, there are things that are different about each of these organizations, but there are principles that are the same. And, so for the next 10 years, I worked pretty much exclusively with these kinds of businesses that were interested in these, what I was calling like these principles. And I was trying to put them together, trying to understand, what the frameworks were. And at the same time, when I would go and tell somebody, there's this way of doing business where you get recurring revenue, membership, subscription, digital community, and it can work in every industry, in any size of business, and it gives you recurring revenue and higher valuations. So why wouldn't you do it? Kind of like what you and Jocelyn realized, but I was trying to proselytize, trying to convince people, and people, kind of blank stares. They didn't get it. I'm like, okay, I'll
give you a hallelujah and an amen. If you're out proselytizing, I'll hallelujah and amen the membership model right now with you, Robbie.
So, it was very hard, to sort of explain it. And I thought, okay, so I'm going to write it all down. And then what I actually thought was, I was like, okay, this is my 1 pound business card. When I meet a new person and I'm trying to explain, I'm a consultant, what I do, I'm going to say, I'm Robbie. This is what I do. If you like it, give me a call, so that I didn't have to have that whole conversation with them to explain it to them. And what happened, I was very surprised. The book took off. Very lucky. I think it's a good book, but the timing was also great.
You were ahead of the curve. Ready. Yeah, you were ahead of the curve, for sure.
Yeah, and so anyway, that book just it just took off. But I'd been writing and making notes since my time with Netflix. Should every business have a free trial? Should every business have freemium? Should every business be 100% membership or 100% not? Like all of those questions, I would kind of meditate on them and write about them and try to get to my own answer, so that I would feel confident when someone would ask me that question, what my point of view was based on my experience. And eventually that all made it into the book.
I'll tell you what happened after I read the book. So I sat there for a minute and I just started thinking, and I was like, man, the whole world is a membership. Like your car payment is a monthly membership. Your mortgage is a monthly membership. Your phone bill, your TV bill, like all these things. And you start thinking about, like, you don't switch TV companies, but every 5 to 10 years, you don't switch off of these things. I've got a, right about the same time, I can't remember exactly what year it was, but World Wrestling Entertainment, the WWE, launched the WWE Network, right? Which is a
very
huge,
successful.
Very successful. And this was like right before all the other sports leagues and all the other people were like, all right, we'll let them be the guinea pigs and see if it works.
They're real leaders there. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it just blew up. And I was like, man, even our entertainment is being membershipized, And when I started seeing that, it made so much sense, because it's a lower entry. It's an easier, like these $1,000 courses and these $10,000 programs and like all these things, they're so high energy and hard to sell. Even $500 things are hard to sell. But man, it's so easy to be like, free trial, try it for $49 a month. If you love it, stay. If you don't, we'll let you go. I mean, it's no big deal.
Yeah, removes friction.
Yeah, less friction. And I started seeing everywhere I go now, I see memberships. It's freaking me out a little bit, right? So but this was not happening. Netflix was the first, right? This was not happening back in like 2015. So have you, all the things in membership economy that you thought would come true, have you looked back now and going, I told you guys, I saw this coming?
A little bit. I do a little bit feel like I told you so. But I mostly feel really happy that companies are embracing it, because I truly feel that when it's done in an ethical way, this is the best model for the company, and it's the best model for the consumer as well. So when you look at where subscriptions are right now, certainly your listeners and your community is doing subscriptions and doing a membership model, but this kind of takes my breath away. Like you asked how it feels, 5 years later. There's certainly the old time players, the Intuits and the Spotifys, but there's also Burger King. There's also Caterpillar. There's also Peloton, a new model where you subscribe, to the product, the physical product itself.
Yeah.
Every retailer is doing subscription.
What is Burger King doing? Burger King.
Oh, Burger King, $5 a month for unlimited coffee.
Get out of here. I did not know that. I would totally subscribe for that and probably never use it, but I would subscribe just so once a month I'd be like, I'm going to go get me a Burger King coffee. I'd spend $5 anyway on breakfast.
And here's the thing, right? Exactly. Here's the thing about that is that in the case of Burger King, in some cases, the subscription is the product, right? It's the whole thing. But in other cases, subscription can be layered in as a marketing tool. So I don't think that Burger King's making a ton of money. I'm sure that there are lots of people who are like $5 a month, and there's a Burger King next door to my office, and I go every day. They might even be kind of losing money or breaking even. I bet they're breaking even, honestly, on it. But like you said, they come in for the coffee, and then they're like, "I'll get a breakfast sandwich," and then they say to their buddy at work, "Hey, do you want to just have a meeting over at Burger King? Why don't we just sit there? Why don't we just get out, get some fresh air, and walk over to Burger King?" Right? So they're bringing people in. Wow. They're remembering that Burger King exists. They're being exposed to Burger King's menu every morning and being reminded of it, front of mind. So for them, it's a marketing tool.
That's
so
amazing.
Membership can be, you can use it in a lot of different ways. Here, I'll stop sharing now.
You just exploded my brain. That was amazing. It is so true because we have a saying, like ours are very specific to, like, we call them mom and pop membership sites, right?
Yep.
So what we teach is, everybody has God-given talents and experiences that they can use to lead other people with, right? Or teach somebody else something. Yeah. So if you get 100 people to pay you $50 a month, you'll make $60,000 a year. That's a good living for most people in America, right? And they come in and it is really about that, like, full subscription. But what's cool is, like, we have other products like the Flip Your Life community, where we sell our general membership that just shows you like how to build the websites and all that, leads to the next product, which is the Membership Masters newsletter, which is totally focused on membership marketing, right? And then that leads to our live events where me and Jocelyn actually go and we speak and we do those things. So it even stacks, right? Like when you can use it as the entry point to other things, and people are used to you. You build so much know, like, and trust because people come for the content, but they stay for the community and the people, right? And right. And all that just stacks together.
Yeah, because one of the things that I talk about in the new book is the idea of trigger benefits and hook benefits, or headline benefits and engagement benefits. A headline benefit is the reason someone signs up. Hey, I'm going to sign up for this thing. It's $49 a month, and I'll get my September learning plans, right? And I'll cancel. Like, they're thinking in their head, I'm going to cancel after the first month. I got my learning plans for September. And then those hook benefits, those engagement benefits kick in. And some of those might be about, oh, wow, they have the next month ready to go. So that removes some stress. And oh, wow, there's actually a community of people that can give me advice and support. Wow, I didn't think I needed that. But now that I'm here, I actually really like it.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
so
sure.
When you're designing a model, you want to think about both. A lot of people err on the side of that headline benefit, especially if you come out of the world that you talked about, that hamster wheel of new products every month. You're like, what's the headline? What's the reason someone's going to click? But you want to spend a little bit of your effort, some of your effort, thinking about what's going to get them to stay.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And that's the magic, man. Because when you wake up, I was talking to John Lee Dumas for this podcast yesterday, and John, me and John were talking about Podcasters Paradise and the Flip Your Life community. And we were just like talking about how we build that community in there. And John was like, man, what's amazing is when you wake up and you see all the renewals in the morning, and like, that's a bunch of people that just voted again. No problem. Didn't have to do much. Yep. The hook, like those hooks were like built in. And I was having another discussion this morning. The most amazing thing to me about the membership model is I have a report in my dashboard called my future income report. Because I got like 6 years of data now on my membership, right? And I can predict pretty closely what I'm going to make for the next 6 months. And like, that's just not possible, because I know the average month that people stay. I know the average amount that each customer is worth. And I can count on it,
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It's amazing how you do that. But that actually leads me to an amazing quote in your book. So I got a book, The Membership Economy, on page 48. I was flipping back through it and I underlined this, and I wanted to ask you about this. So we've got our membership, we've got our triggers, we've got our hooks, right? We've got the way to get them in, and we've got the way to keep them. But here's the problem that a lot of people don't address, but you do kind of address this, is how do we get people to see the trigger, right? And then once they're in, we can convince them to stay, but how do we see the trigger? And on page 48 of the Membership Economy, you wrote, targeted marketing is even more important for subscriptions or membership businesses than for transactional businesses, because the membership organization makes a profit only if the member stays for an extended duration. So if a recurring revenue business pays for a product to have a free trial and the prospect is not the kind of person who would benefit from the membership, that money is wasted and the person would be disappointed with the effort. And this was from the chapter on what you call the Acquisition Schute. And I think this is a brilliant way to look at a sales funnel, because it's awareness, trials, sign up, loyal member. So where did you get this? Did this come from your experience with Netflix and people like that? And like, what do you mean by the Acquisition Schute? Because I think a lot of membership owners coming into this may think of the old sales funnel and the old style and how you do that. But like, what's the difference there, and how do you get those loyal customers in instead of just the masses coming?
Yeah. So lots of great questions there. First thing is, you always want to start with product market fit. Which means you have to know who your market is. Mm-hmm. And you have to design your offering to suit that market. So you have to be really specific about who you're trying to serve, because if you bring in the wrong people, they're not going to stay, and you're going to lose money. Your cost of acquisition, your CAC, your customer acquisition cost, is going to be higher than the lifetime value of the customer. And really what you want is for that lifetime customer value to be 3 times or more what your CAC is.
That's some gold. 3 times. So if my customer value, lifetime value, is $300, I want to spend $100 or less to get that member, basically.
Exactly. And you only want to start doing that when you know, like you said just now, you know how long they're going to stay. You feel confident that if you get them in the front door, they're going to stay for $300 worth. If you don't know that, don't spend $100 acquiring another customer, because you might end up only making $10, and then you're losing money. And, I know that you work with kind of mom and pop businesses, but, Blue Apron, the meal kit company, got tons of venture money, and no one really seemed to notice that their CAC was a tiny bit higher than their lifetime customer value.
Right.
So this is true, right? So you really want to make sure you have that product market fit, not just for the moment of acquisition, but for the duration of the relationship before you invest in turning on your loudspeaker and looking at your funnel.
Yeah. And that's just knowing, basically. And you've got there's something in your new book that just was also, it's an amazing concept. It's called, it's your forever promise. So I'm going to come back to that, because I think that's really important for that. But like, the trials was a problem for us too, because like when we first started experimenting with our membership marketing, so we would have the awareness ads, things like that, get our message in front of people. And we experimented for 2 years. I did 1 full year of free trials only and 1 full year of dollar trials only, because I wanted to know, like, what was the difference between someone that parted with money and didn't part with money, right? And we really wanted to understand that. But the frustrating part about those 2 years was I didn't know how many of them would pay in the second month, the third month. It took a long time to figure out what the LTV was on both of those cohorts, right? But so we spent probably too much on ads in the very beginning, and it got better and it got better and it got better until we figured out the dollar trial is really, really good because they stay 4 months more. I don't know why, but they do. They stay, I think it's psychology with the money, right? But it took us a long time to do that. And I can point to places we wasted money. I'm like, wow, I spent $400 for those people. I spent, $25 for them when I could have slowed down.
Yeah, absolutely. So cohort analysis for any subscription business is like a great tool to have in your toolbox. And it's just a fancy term for saying, think about your subscribers in segments and you can look at it by source. So, what was the ad or the campaign that got them? And one source can be, referrals, which is great, right? But what's the source? You can look at what the offer was. So did you offer them something for free? Did you offer them a discounted rate? Did you offer them some extra thing? You can look at the month that they joined. So a lot of businesses are seasonal, like weight loss, people that join in January versus somebody that joins in July, they're going to have a very different mindset and different duration. People in July stay longer, right? Because they've actually made a decision to do something, as opposed to someone in January who's like, oh, New Year's resolution, I'll just sign up.
Oh, that's fascinating. I would have never thought that, because everybody's looking for that January gym sign up, but like the July people might be a better customer overall.
The July people are going to last better because they're there for the right reasons. And that's, as you brought up, it's really important that you know why they're coming. So you want to do your cohort analysis because you'll find clues. And I'm a big fan of always having a list of hypotheses. What do you think is going on? And if you just write them down and like keep like a little spreadsheet or a little, list on your desk or on your whiteboard, is this happening? I think that these people are better customers than those. Then you can go back to it and say, okay, how would I answer that question? And then you can do a little, like you said, you did that little test with, well, not so little, 1 year, free versus $1 initial offer.
Yeah.
And there's an awesome book. It's kind of old now, but it's by Chris Anderson, and it's called Free: The History of a Radical Price. And if you're interested in why some things, work for free and some things don't work for free, which, is a huge part of what I do, it just goes really, really deep in psychology of pricing and the difference between 1 cent. He doesn't even go up to $1. He's like 1 cent versus free, how different your mindset is.
We've got a member, her name is Blair, and she has a website called the Farmerpreneur Academy. So she was doing like coaching basically. And so we launched her membership after one of our live events, and she got her first 100 members like within 2 or 3 months, right? And we did it full price monthly offer. It's like $197 a month because it's pharmacists. They have a good income. They can afford something like that. So, and it's about growing your pharmacy business by adding services. So she teaches them how to basically make more money. But it was interesting. So I had just come off the year of the free trial, and I was killing it with the free trial. Finally, it took me about 12 months. I was like, hey, you got to try a free trial. Bombed. It freaking bombed. It was terrible. But we tried a $99 first month and it killed it. And I guess it was just the higher economic status of the person. They're like, free? How good could that be? Maybe. And then the high price worked,
Right. Like here's the thing about free. Free trial is good for 2 things. Number 1, they don't understand what you're saying. And number 2, they don't believe you. If those are your problems, use a free trial. Hey, I have the best cookies in town. Like I work, and I was in college, I worked for Mrs. Fields Cookies. And, Debbie talks about how when she started, she would say, these are the best cookies in the world, and people were like, yeah, my grandma makes cookies, they're pretty good. It's like, no, taste one. And she'd give them tiny bites outside of her store. And that's what made her business take off, because people didn't believe that they were as good as they said. In the software world, there are products where they're like, what does it do? I don't understand what you mean. So you say, well, try it, and then you'll get it. And you're like, oh, light bulbs go off.
Wow. That's
other reason you don't want to give a free trial. And particularly when it's for business, and particularly when the biggest investment is not the dollars, it's the time or the risk. So in the case of pharmacists, I would imagine that they'd say, look, my time is worth way more than the $49 or the $99 or the $149. So when they see something for free, they're like, that's probably not going to be enough value that it's going to justify my time. Yeah. Also, I'm not going to trust them, because if they're giving something away, that means that they can't have that level of accuracy, especially because they're kind of medical people. They're going to want that level of credibility. My first client in this world, as I've mentioned, was Netflix. They do a 2-week free trial, or they did for many, many years. My second was PayCycle, which is part of Intuit. PayCycle is payroll for your kind of members, right? Very small family-owned businesses. And I came right in, guns blazing, right? I'd worked on all of one membership, right? And I'm like, you guys need a free trial. And it turns out that, we experimented with free trial. We experimented with a bunch of different things. And what we learned was that the biggest friction to getting people to sign up was not, I don't believe you, and not, I don't understand. It was, I don't want to put all of the effort of loading the system with all of my employees' names and locations and addresses and birthdays, and then decide it doesn't work. The biggest hurdle for them was the onboarding process, not the dollars.
Wow. That's amazing.
And so we put our attention onto that onboarding process rather than putting it on the dollars. Basically applied the money that would have gone into a free trial into customer support and help, and also into the product, making it easier for people to input that data.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like that's mind blowing. Like, because when you said that, because I've seen hundreds of free trials for tried people, and sometimes you can figure out why it works and sometimes you can't. But when it's like, when I think about just our community, I'm like, well, yeah, that's why the free trials work so good, because one, people don't know how to start an online business. They've heard you can make money online, but they don't know how to do it, and they don't believe you, right? So you've got to convince them of that. And and also we onboard with tons of testimonials. Like that's our entire onboarding process is basically Jeff did it, Cindy did it, Jeanette did it, Bob did it. That's the whole onboarding process for the whole month. And then we get together with them twice a month, like in a cute group call. So they get to see like, wow, there's a couple hundred people here. This is real, right? And we've always said, if we can get you to come to a member call, you're probably going to renew, right? And that's our whole onboarding effort, is to get them to come into the community. And that's what creates loyal members, basically.
That's the magic. Yep.
Yeah. Let me ask you. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say they come for the promise of having their own business, and they stay for the community, but you can't have the community as the trigger benefit. They're not going to say, I'm going to come for the community. They're coming for the learning, and they stay for the community. And it's so awesome how you've identified that and built your model around it.
Well, when we launched the Membership Masters newsletter is actually a paper newsletter. It's a calendar. Like it's old school. I mean, I wanted something that felt like a newsie from 1920 when you get it almost, you know? And I was like, because I want to go old school with this. And so we did this paper newsletter. And when I launched it, I just launched it full price, got my beta group because I promised to spend more time with them. And then the second phase, the second beta group, I tried a free trial. I was like, I'll send it to you, right? And it bombed. It was weird. Like I was like, why did that bomb? And I was like, well, how about then but then we added free plus shipping. And there was just something about tying it to like they were going to pay to get it mailed to them. I don't know if it cemented that it was a mailed product. Like people didn't understand it was a mailed thing in the first group. They got it in the mail and they were like, I didn't even realize this was a mail. And I'm like, it says it on the sales page.
Yeah.
But when they paid free plus shipping, they just went all in on it. And maybe that was just, I triggered it correctly I taught them what it was by charging shipping, basically.
Yeah, well, you made them focus on it. You made them focus, because when they have to give you their credit card or give you some kind of payment, they're like, wait, do I really want this? And then they have to say, wait, what is this? And then they remember. So, one of the things that's sort of counterintuitive in the work that I do is, on the one hand, I'm always telling my clients to be careful about friction and to try to remove it. But sometimes friction is actually useful, just like in real life. If you want to say, for example, if you run a weight loss business, you don't want to tell people it's easy, because you know what? It's not easy, right? What you want to say is, what you want to say, they don't always know that. Some people are like, oh, I saw these things online. You could buy this pill and boom, the weight just falls off. All you eat is bacon and you just lose weight like crazy. Like, we know that's not true. But if you say to somebody, look, this is not going to be easy, but we are going to guarantee that if you follow these very easy to follow rules, you will lose weight. Then people are like, oh, patient has been set. Some people who wanted an easy fix are going to go away, but the ones who come are going to stay. And that's what we want in a recurring revenue business.
Yeah, we've noticed that the more we're in this, the more I'd rather have less of the right people join, because I know they're going to stay longer and my overall annual revenue is going to go up, to extend that lifetime value. So let's talk about the forever transaction. So the membership economy is not that old of a book. I mean, right? It's 5 years old. It's
5 years old.
Yeah.
Still selling. I mean, it's still selling every week. Lots of books. Yeah.
Yeah. I just reread it and to talk before we talked, and I'm like, it's all still relevant, So like, why did you write the forever transaction? Like, that's like kind of it's almost like you like narrow down, like, here's the membership, and you zeroed in to the point where they go from customer to member. right? That's the words
Yes.
you use. So like, why did you write this book?
So, 5 years ago, I wrote Membership Economy because people didn't believe, they didn't understand. Today, as you know, everybody's on the bandwagon for subscription. Everybody wants to create their own membership, whether you're, a solopreneur, recovering teacher, or whether you're Unilever, trying to build a direct relationship with people who love your razors and razor blades. Everybody's trying to do this. And what I started to hear was people saying, well, I want to do it, but I tried this, whatever this is, and it didn't work. Or I haven't been able to get over the hurdle to start. And so I really wanted to break down the pieces of building a forever transaction. And so this book, the forever transaction is divided. It's very practical and very tactical. And it's really about how do you start a subscription business? How do you scale it? And how do you avoid becoming long in the tooth? How do you maintain your leadership position over time?
And then like I was reading through this, like I'm not quite finished yet because I just got it the other day and I'm not to the end, but I'm about halfway through it. And chapter 4 kind of kicked my butt a little bit, kind of blew my mind because on page 27, it says, forever is a long journey. And that really hit me because we get so caught up in our numbers. I'm like, well, the average customer says 7 months. We need to get that to 11 months. And like I noticed when I read that, I was like, bro, you stopped thinking about forever. Why'd you do that? You're too into the weeds. And it says, as in a successful marriage, both parties make a commitment, a promise. Your vision serves as a North Star guiding your membership and your team. That vision and promise needs to be valuable enough to your best customer to justify a recurring payment commitment. And then on page 28, about 3 chapters down, it says a forever transaction happens when a customer starts behaving like a member, is committed to your organization. And this was what blew my mind, and stops looking for alternatives. Because I started thinking about our best customers, and they don't even follow anybody else anymore. They come to our events, they come to our podcast, they delete everybody's shows. Like that's what happens. So what do you, when you were writing that and when you were researching this, like what's the difference between a customer and a member? Is it just the love, or is there like some kind of intangible in there that takes people from that customer to a member?
So what I realized, I'm a super analytical person, and, people started saying to me, what's the difference between a membership and a subscription? Why do you use that word? And for me, what I realized was that I was really interested in the mindset, in the long-term formal relationship. And whether that is, I always go to this store to buy that thing. Like, for example, Apple until recently didn't do much in the world of subscriptions, but I saw people that behaved like members where they were like, well, I just go to, if I need something technology, I just go to the Apple store and then I just buy what the genius tells me to buy. And if I have a problem, I just bring it back to the store and I talk to them. That to me was a forever transaction without subscription pricing. And so I was trying to kind of tease apart what am I really talking about? So subscription, first of all, is a pricing decision. It is a tactic. It is not a strategy. And that's a big mistake a lot of people make, is that they slap a subscription price onto whatever crap they have, excuse my language, lying around.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, I have this, guide, and I have this assessment, and I have access to Zoom, so I'll do a webinar, and we'll just call that a subscription, right? So that's the first thing. So a membership, I realized and then I thought, well, maybe it's companies that call the people they serve members, right? A membership. And then I was like, no, because, for example, Pandora and Spotify, they don't call them members, they call them listeners. But they behave like members, right? Spotify listeners don't go to other places to figure out how to solve their music problem or their audio problem. So for me, membership is the way the organization feels about the people they serve. So it starts with you as the entrepreneur, and you saying, I'm here to solve so for example, your members are entrepreneurs who maybe you said, if it's a 7-month cycle, then that might be, well, you're helping people through the beginning of their business, right? I help people for as long as they are starting a business in membership, I help them, right? That's your forever promise. Well, that has a finite duration, right? If you say, I am helping them for as long as they want to build and grow and evolve a membership business, that could be 20 years, 50 years. And, an interesting kind of side note, LinkedIn, the founders of LinkedIn, before they had the company LinkedIn, they had another company called SocialNet. And actually my client at Netflix worked there first. And they were a dating site. And they totally had this member mindset, right? Like the people that worked there, that, they had that kind of long-term focus, take care of our customers, treat them well, and they will stay. They had subscription pricing. But guess what? You know how long the lifetime is of somebody who's looking for a soulmate? It's about 6 months.
Until they find them.
And
Right.
until they find them or give up. And you don't really want either of those groups in your dating pool.
Yeah.
You don't want the married, paired off people staying in your dating pool. So they said the next time we start a business, we're going to pick something where the forever promise actually has a longer duration. And so they picked your professional career, right? Which now I have college kids. They're on LinkedIn. My dad has been retired for 10 years. He's still active on LinkedIn. That is a pretty long forever promise.
Yes. Yes. That's actually, I wish I had read this book like 6 months ago, because when we around, I think it was around May last year, we were talking a lot about retention, and we were we had people in our community. Like I got this one guy, his name is Jeff Twitty, and he lives up in Ohio. He started a membership very similar to our education company, but he was doing math, which I don't know anything about math. So whatever, I'll help you. You know what I mean? And he starts his membership, and he grows this to 3,000 customers, paying an average of like $49 to $109 a month, depending on, because he does math and chemistry and anything that involves numbers, he's got it, right? So he's got this huge company, and I noticed his bill kept coming up, and he randomly sends me an email one day, and he's like, "Hey man, I just want you to know I'm never going to stop paying for the Flip Your Life community, even though I don't need it anymore." And I was like, "Why?" I just said, "Why?" And he's like, "Man, because you help me, you know me, and also, when you reach a certain point, you got a testimonial that huge, there's a relationship that just naturally comes out of it. So we talk on Voxer, right? This little app that we've got." And he's like, "I just appreciate you talking to me, and I know whenever I got a question you about marketing my membership, I ask you about it." And I was like, "Wait a minute. That's what we do next." So we started the newsletter, which is a daily calendar, literally 4 promotions a month of how to get and keep more members every single month, like that. And as I was reading your new book, The Forever Transaction, and I read this chapter, I started penciling out our actual forever promise, because I thought our promise was, we help you start, build, and grow a membership site. We help you get your first 100 people to pay you $50 a month to make $60,000 a year. And even in the Membership Masters newsletter, we help you get and keep more members every single month. But that wasn't the promise. The real promise was you will be able to make a full-time, location-independent living for your family with your membership site for the rest of your life. Like, that's our forever promise. And when that snapped into view, when I was reading this book, I was like, holy cow. I see now, I see the process now from starting your membership to growing your membership every single month until you retire, hand it off to somebody else, and you leave an inheritance to your children's children. And when that one sentence was written on a piece of paper, I was like, "Robbie Baxter, you've done it again. How'd you do that?" Right? So that really is an amazing concept that I think a lot of us intuitively know. It's like the value prop, right? We all know this value proposition, but it's more than that. A value proposition is a moment in time, but a forever promise is like the rest of your life,
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a very different way of looking at your business. And something for membership businesses like the ones you're describing that have a big element of community is, your best members, the one, get his name,
Jeff.
His name,
Ohio?
Jeff, who's one of your, he should be the one that is pushing you for your new offerings. You want to have a group of people that are, you want to hear a chorus. So some of the feedback you're getting are from your newest members who are saying, "These are my challenges. This is what's hard about getting started." Or even, here's how to attract new people into the funnel. But at the same time, you want to make sure you're continuing to stay relevant to your best members, because number one, it extends the life cycle, or it extends the lifetime value. The other thing that it does that I think is really important is it serves as a model and inspiration for tomorrow's members, right? The more active Jeff is in your community, the more likely that new person that comes in is going to find this really impressive. Like, wow, I went to this event, and Jeff gave a talk, and it was, Shane's great and Jocelyn's great, but something about what Jeff said to me that we really connected. So you want to continue to evolve your offerings for those people. The other thing that I've noticed, to keep them around and to keep them engaged in learning. The other thing is that it inspires you to stay smart and to keep sharpening your saw and say, what's the next thing? What's the next thing from the people that are pushing on the edges of what you're offering?
Yeah, for sure. We did a live event in Nashville in 2018. So we had 100 people in our community come. I don't want to interrupt you. I want to tell you exactly what you just said because I have an example of it where I screwed it up.
Yeah, no, it's great.
We had a working dinner, 100 people in a room. The whole show was about me and Jocelyn. I did 8-hour-long talks and we did 8 Q&As over 2 days. So like it was crushing work, but like we basically built things while we were there. Like people launched their memberships and got their first customer during talks. We told them, if you get a member, shout, I got a member. And people were doing it. And I was like, holy, that worked. And but we walked into that working dinner and we got mobbed. I mean, it was like, we couldn't talk to everybody. We couldn't do anything. So the next year we did it in Lexington, Kentucky. And we picked those 8, we've got stars in the community that everybody knows this person succeeded. They've been on the podcast, whatever. And we made them table leaders. I walked in that room and nobody even looked up. Nobody talked to me for like 25 minutes. And I was like, wait a minute. It's because we elevated members of the community and the people pulled around them that needed them right then and there. And they didn't have to need me and Jocelyn. And that's kind of when I knew we're starting to turn the corner into building a family, not just a membership community,
Right. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, I want to tell everybody. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say one other thing about the experts versus the newbies, which is that I've learned is that I offered a class, for my business school. I do this class periodically called, and I do it for other business schools too, called, Introduction, Getting Started in Consulting. And I did it at HBS, at Harvard Business School. And I don't remember how many people called, like 175 people were on the call. This is like maybe 10 years ago. And then like 8 years ago, they asked me to come back and I was like, let's do something different. Let's do advanced consulting for the experienced consultant. We had some name like that, right? So we had 100 and something people for the first one. We had like 400 people for the second one. And, I can guarantee you that there were a whole bunch of beginners in there, but people they love to sit in on the session that's above them because everybody thinks, well, the beginning stuff I don't really need. I'm just going to go right to the advanced class. So having that advanced content is really useful for everybody.
Yeah, our podcast, it's funny. Another reason I started this podcast was to talk to people like you, like really, really experienced people like you, John, James Schramko, like Stu McLaren, like all these people that are in the membership world, right? And like people I've met and I've known and I've interacted with to give that advanced like level content. But our podcast, our free podcast, the Flip Lifestyle podcast, we only talk to our members and we do a coaching call live. And then we share that as our podcast. And we have people that are like, I don't even have an idea. So we help them come up with an idea. But then we have people that are like, I just got my 5,000th member. Where do I go next? And it's funny. They all get the same download. It might be beginners listening. It might be advanced people listening. But people love to be a fly on the wall. They just absolutely love to be a fly on the wall.
They do. Hot seats are the best. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I need to do like a 4-person hot seat as one of these and just get a bunch of people like just slamming back and forth. I can geek out about memberships for a long time, Robbie, if you can't tell. So one last thing that I read that I think is a general theme of both books, as I've kind of now consumed most of the second one and all of the first one a couple times, is this concept of engage and retain, right? Like you really you use those exact words in the membership economy, but I feel it like in the second book too, right? And like engage with the audience, they become a member and you keep them. Like that's not true in most sales things. Like if you're selling a $997 course on a perfect webinar and you're just going down the rabbit hole, you're just trying to extract money as fast as possible and get out of the way, right? But I just what do you think why is it better to really stay engaged, like with our higher level people? Like I started a mastermind with 10 people and it's $497 a month. It's a membership. You got to join that, but it's to keep the pulse of the community. I got to talk to these people one-on-one, right? But like engaging and retaining, what do you what do you think that means in the membership world and why that really sets it apart from, I think, any other business model online right now?
This is where I think a lot of businesses get in trouble, is that if you want to enjoy subscription revenue, you have to engage your members. Because if you sell them a one-time thing, let's say you sell them a car and they drive it off the showroom floor, that's their problem now, right? You got the money as the car dealer, right? And whether or not they ever drive the car, whether or not they ever read the document you gave them, whether they ever use the template, who cares? You have all the money. People love membership models because they want that recurring revenue. They want to wake up and see renewals, passive income, predictable cash flow. And the way you earn that is by providing ongoing value. And the way you can tell if you have ongoing value is if engagement metrics are a leading indicator of churn. So if people aren't reading what you're sending them, if they aren't showing up for the meetings, the masterminds, the webinars, the live streams, they're probably slowly disengaging. And in their mind, they're like, do I cancel yet? Do I cancel yet? I don't know. I don't have time. I'll cancel tomorrow. Maybe I'll give them one more chance. Maybe I'll use it again tomorrow. But they're on their way to canceling. So if you want a vibrant membership model, you have to align your goals with the goals of the people you serve. And then the last thing I'll say about that is that beyond just being good business, it's good karma. And it feels better, at least for some entrepreneurs, to be doing something where you're like, I'm actually helping this person for the long term.
That's right. Yeah. Well, yeah. My member calls are my favorite things on the planet because I get to hear and feel, and you just know when you get off that call, man, I did something tonight. Like I made a huge difference. Like, yeah, I can look if someone watched my courses, or I can answer a quick question in the forums. But man, when you get off that call and someone popped and you had a breakthrough, that keeps you going to the next level. And like the people that come in are like, I got a course. Can I turn it into a membership? I'm like, no, you can add a membership to it because you're going to have to get in there and do some work for it. But at the same time, it's so much less energy. It's so much more fun. And it's just so much better in the long term for everybody. So, well, this has been the best conversation I'm going to have all weekend. I just know it. And I just want to let you know that I really do respect your work, and it is so good to connect with you finally. And I really appreciate it. There's going to be a lot of membership owners get a massive amount of value out of this chat today. So tell everybody a little bit. I'll post links to all your books, and when we email this out to our list, we'll tell everybody about it far and wide. But where can people connect with you online, or is there anywhere you would like for them to go?
Yeah, so I'm really easy to find, RobbieKellmanBaxter.com. I just shared a link to RobbieKellmanBaxter.com/audience, where people can download some slides, my membership manifesto, chapter 8 of the new book, which is about culture and having the right mindset for a membership relationship. And you can find me, I'm on LinkedIn, pretty active there, LinkedIn Live, I'm an instructor. So that's a good place to hook up as well. Twitter, Instagram, everywhere else, I'm there.
On the speaking circuit when we finally get to go talk to people again, right?
Yeah, you can find me. Really, the real answer to your question is you can find me in my home office. Sometimes I'm upstairs, sometimes I'm downstairs, and occasionally I'm in the backyard.
But either way, we're rolling out those memberships. All right, have a great day, Robbie.
Great to talk to you. Thanks so much, Shane. Take care.
You
Bye.
too.